In 2016, Elon Musk revealed his grand plan to colonize Mars. It can be argued that this insane idea is one of the biggest reasons for the revitalization of public interest when it comes to humanity exploring the cosmos once more. The last time we looked up at the stars with the same determination and wonder was perhaps during the Apollo missions. Even though the moon landing took place back in 1969, we as a species have stagnated since when it comes to the idea of exploring the depths of space, but that seems to be changing finally. Musk has been influential in reigniting the flames of interest and seems determined to turn humanity into a multi-planetary species. However, massive obstacles stand in our way to turning this plan into a reality. Everything from economic costs to the risks involved in such a journey needs to be accounted for. And while Musk's company SpaceX has made significant headway into turning this into a reality, certain delays have still set the program back a couple of years than originally intended. Let's take a closer look at how Elon Musk plans to colonize the Red Planet. Elon Musk states that the future of humanity is going to divide along one of two potential directions. Either we will become a multi-planetary, spacefaring civilization, or we are going to be stuck on the Earth until an eventual extinction event that is either caused by nuclear war or natural disasters. He states that humanity's future is much safer when going with the first option, but a lot of that burden lies on the success of the rocket, which is responsible for taking humans to Mars. The initial plan needs a big spacecraft to work. This rocket is estimated to be at least 200 feet tall when fully assembled and is called the Falcon Heavy. The rocket will be attached to an interplanetary transport system aptly named the Starship and will be loaded on top of a 39-foot wide booster, which will produce a massive 28 million pounds of thrust. Made up of no less than 42 individual Raptor engines, the booster will accelerate the Mars-bound craft to over 5,374 miles an hour. Overall, the entire craft is estimated to be 3.5 times more powerful than NASA's legendary Saturn V, which is the tallest rocket to date and carried the Apollo missions to the moon. Additionally, the Starship is planned to launch from Pad 39A and the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida, the same pad which took humans to the moon and would perfectly symbolize our return to the stars. After the initial launch, the rocket is responsible for delivering the Starship crew capsule to orbit around the Earth. After it has done so, the booster will detach and steer itself towards a soft landing back at the launch pad. While this feat seemed almost impossible at first, SpaceX rockets have been doing it successfully for several years now. The next stage would involve the booster picking up a fuel tanker and carrying it into orbit as well. This fuel tanker will then be used to replenish the Starship for its voyage towards Mars. Once en route, the craft will deploy solar panels to harvest energy from the sun in an attempt to save precious onboard fuel for what will be an exciting and groundbreaking landing on the Red Planet. According to Musk's vision, these crafts and their crew will remain in Earth's orbit until a planetary alignment brings the Earth and Mars closer together. This is a window that opens once every 26 months. The long-term plan for SpaceX is to have many hundreds of spaceships waiting in orbit to depart en masse as part of the Mars colonial fleet. Perhaps the most important part for this entire plan to work is the reusability of the boosters. Musk's plan revolves around making sure that each spaceship is capable of being reused as much as possible. He states that there is no way to have a self-sustaining colony on Mars without reusability. It's a fundamental part of the plan. He also adds that if the wooden sailing ships from the old days were not reusable, the United States probably wouldn't have existed. SpaceX estimates it will be able to use each of its rocket boosters a whopping 1,000 times, each tanker 100 times, and each spaceship 12 times at least. The first missions are only estimated to carry around 100 people on each ship, but gradually that number is expected to increase to more than 200. According to these estimates, putting 1 million people on the surface of Mars could take anywhere from 40 to 100 years after the maiden voyage. The reusability of the rockets also means that once there, the crafts can then be used to return to Earth whenever needed. After a few uncrewed cargo supply missions have already landed on Mars, the human phase of colonization will finally be ready to begin. One of the biggest hurdles that stand in the way is the Red Planet's notoriously thin atmosphere. NASA had to be extra careful when landing their Curiosity rover on the planet, which weighed a mere 2,000 pounds and is a tiny fraction of the total payload that the manned missions will carry. This is one of the reasons why SpaceX continues to perfect its supersonic retro rocket technology so they can gradually enter the Martian atmosphere and lower a very heavy spacecraft onto the surface using this reusable method. That's not all though. Entering the atmosphere is another problem that needs attention. The craft needs to withstand a heated entry to the planet and perform a propulsive landing while still being capable of refueling and going back to Earth to start over again. The first few journeys would probably just drop off supplies and set up a propellant depot on the planet so return trips are possible when needed. After the supply runs are complete, humans can finally make their way to Mars. The first crew will need to rely on digging beneath the surface and dredging up buried ice. This will be used as a water source which will eventually power the entire colony. When the essential crews consisting of scientists and engineers have finally set up, competition will start over the first few seats that can take willing individuals to the newly colonized planet. While everything so far in the plan is somewhat within reach, the next step of the project is much more ambitious. Once the initial outpost is operational, Elon Musk wants to give people the opportunity to relocate to the first Martian city. However, many life support experts are still skeptical of the idea that such an unforgiving planet could allow for so many people to live sustainably. The necessary technologies needed for such a feat are still being developed and may not be ready for the foreseeable future. This has not stopped the billionaire, though. He is determined to give humanity a second lifeline on the planet if things go wrong on Earth. The plan is to send no less than 1 million people to Mars. The total costs for a one-way ticket to Mars are estimated to be around $200,000 each. The only way this price is a possibility is because of the reusable technology SpaceX is working so hard to perfect in time. Additionally, Musk promises life on Mars will not be a bland existence. He assures that the city will come equipped with all the modern amenities for a happy life. This includes everything from iron foundries to pizza joints and even bars. The last step of the plan is something that is reserved for a distant future, as the technology for such a feat simply does not exist yet. The end goal for SpaceX seems to be enabling human life on Mars by turning it into an Earth-like planet. Terraforming can be classified as a type of climate change, but is much faster and deliberate than what is happening on Earth at the moment. The idea is that Mars can one day be transformed into a habitable world complete with oceans and vegetation. The only thing in the way is the planet's ice caps rich in carbon dioxide. It's uncertain if the terraforming of the planet can be done in a sustainable amount of time, and according to NASA, it may not be possible at all due to a lack of gases trapped in the poles. It seems like a tall order, but Elon Musk is determined to make this dream a reality, and while the initial timeline may be off, the progress so far has proven that SpaceX means business. The Falcon Heavy has already been tested multiple times, and the spaceship is entering its final phases of refinement and testing. We may witness the first supply drop to Mars in the next 2 to 3 years or sooner. Thanks for tuning in. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. We are excited to see what the future holds for humanity as a multi-planetary species. Please subscribe to the channel to share this journey with us. When the time comes, would you leave everything behind to start a new life on Mars? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below.